Back and thank you for staying with us. Now, as a member of the East African community, Kenya is part of 26 countries under the COMESA, EAC, SADC tripartite. The pact seeks to accelerate economic integration for the people of the Eastern and Southern Africa region. What lessons can trade blocs learn from each other as Africa becomes more integrated? Betty Kiptum sought answers with Winpeng Moyo, the Zimbabwean ambassador to Kenya.
The Southern African Development Community was established in 1980, while East African Community was established 20 years later in 2000. Just what lessons can the EAC learn from SADC, and how can they get to where SADC is? To give us this perspective is the Zimbabwean ambassador to Kenya, that is Winpeng Moyo. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Betty. I'm glad to be here. More so that this day is one day which the organization of SADC decided to mark as a day where we call that the illegal sanctions imposed on Zimbabwe should be lifted. And we will keep on calling on this until they are lifted. So it's really a privilege to be here on this day when we're marking that date. So for me, you can see that SADC is really together. It's for economic integration. They know the impact of the illegal sanctions, which the effect on the SADC region. They don't want to leave anyone behind, because if one person, one country, member state is affected, it affects the whole region. So this is one, we really are happy that SADC is in a tripartite agreement with the EAC, with the COMESA, to make it huge. You know, even also the population will be, the market will be also huge. So for us, what you can learn from that, we even have countries like Tanzania who are in both.
Before we get into that, could you just give us an overview of the role that EAC partner states have in maybe even fighting for the sanctions to be lifted from Zimbabwe?
Oh yeah, they've really been behind us. I can tell many countries, even Rwanda, Uganda, they've said it. Kenya, we appreciate they've been calling for the lifting of sanctions. And also collectively at the African Union, they've have done so. They've called for the lifting of sanctions many times. So it's not only now, and even in the Commonwealth, which Kenya is a member, Uganda is a member. So in Tanzania, they've been calling for the lifting because they know the impact, that they are not good for the population of the country, which is the sanctions imposed on that country. So this is we appreciate that support, and I want on record to really thank President Uhuru Kenyatta. He's called on the lifting of sanctions at the General Assembly many times, and even other fora. So the EAC has been behind us. We are one people.
Now, SADC in 2018, the exports from SADC were $154 billion. The imports were $149 billion. That is not too bad in terms of balance of trade. What can EAC take from that, and what can they do to ensure that the balance of trade nears something like the one that SADC has?
You know what, I believe people, when they come together, even in a family, it should not be about competition. It should be about complementarity. If I can produce this better than you, I can trade with you on that one. Then comparative advantage, that term, we have to use that. So I think there's some, and you have to come together to iron out some of the differences you have. I know there are bans on maize, sugar, and something like that. I think it's good for people to sit together and see how they can address those differences. If there's need to help, like on the aflatoxins, come together. How do we address this issue as a collective? of EAC. I think people can learn from each other what to do. And you know, this is what the founding fathers of the African Union wanted. That's why they're saying, even I think it was in 2003, the AU, when they decided that we need to move on economic development and we should have these regions. They develop, then it's bricks, you're building bricks, then the whole house later on. So it's good that way, and we should share information and learn the way forward.
Right. It's great that you brought out the way the two trading bloc or the blocks relate to the African Union. Now, at this time of COVID-19, when borders were shut and international trade was really impacted, the role of local trade or regional trade came into fore. What do you think will be the position of now regional trade post the pandemic?
Oh, you know, one of the flagship of the African Union Agenda 2063 is the AFCFTA. It doesn't just mean only these two regions. It's for the whole of Africa to come together. Free movement of goods, free movement of people. And actually I want also to just register our appreciation that our community, the Shona community, which came here in 1960 on a pilgrimage, gospel one, they could not go further when they were in Kenya, and then they had to stay here because their papers were said they were invalid. So for Kenya to stay with them for 60 years here, and that means it was homely. And now that now they have citizenship, this is one thing the Africa we want, free movement of people. I can come here and stay here. It's my country too. So you can go to Zimbabwe. So these are things which the African Union looks at, the Africa they want, the Africa we want. We want integration. And this, we hope with the CFTA, Africa will go further.
What is the role of women? Most of the cross-border trade is really done by women, and majority women and youth. So what is the position of just empowering these women and youth to ensure that more cross-border trade is happening?
For economies to develop, you have to be inclusive. So they are putting in laws that include everybody. The women who are disadvantaged, but they are the ones who cross borders, and the youth. So that, you know, with the youth, we have to use the demographic dividends. If you don't use them, they don't get employment, we'll have another Arab Spring. You know, so they are looking at that. Even at the African Union, they have decisions they've made in empowerment of women, empowerment of the youth. We should not leave them behind.
Tanzania is a member of both EAC as well as the SADC. How does this play out?
You know, this is what the AU wants. That in the end,
we are all
from West Africa, ECOWAS, Maghreb, EAC, SADC, we are together. Right. Central Africa. So this is what we want. We are one people. All these are artificial boundaries which were left by our colonizers.
The manufacturing sector was identified as a key growth sector for the region, and it has performed quite well in pushing the growth rate of that particular region. What do you think the EAC can copy from that or can learn from that?
There is need to sit together, brothers and sisters, comparative advantage, look at what the other one can do, not competition, complementarity, and I think things will work out. And if there's need, so like now we are together, that tripartite. So one can also, you know, you can borrow some, ideas from SADC then.
Okay, so as we come to a close of the conversation, what would be your closing remarks?
Our closing remark is Africa. Let's move on, let's integrate, let's make our founding fathers of the African Union glad, that we can thrive. We have many resources as Africa. People don't have those. I was actually in Amboseli for a meeting on animal welfare, and we were saying we are endowed with the animals. These are our resources. We have to decide what we want to do with them. People should not dictate on what we should do, because some of them don't have these animals. They have to come here to see them. But we are the owners of every resource here, and let's end this, conflict. That's why even the AU had to say silencing the guns in 2020. We could not do it, but we need to come together to stop useless fights. And usually they are influenced by external factors. So in all, we want the Africa we want, which is good for the future generation, not for kids to be and people to drown crossing to go to other countries where they are taken like paupers there when they go there. So that's my message.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Winpeg Moyo, the Zimbabwean ambassador to Kenya, saying Africa must unite, Africa must integrate to better the lives of its people. My name is Betty Kiptum. Do continue enjoying Prime Edition.